Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Better You podcast. My name is Daniel Banjo and it is lovely to have you here. While you are here, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Very important, like I always say. So remember to subscribe. I would love to especially welcome you to another episode of the Better You podcast, and we'll be jumping on yet another three series from last year's The Better You series. I just feel like I should reiterate the importance of jumping on last year's series because they're like in a new year, so it should be like new stuff, new content. But then realize that reading through the Better You series, if you have or if you do not, you can check through Danny Banjo underscore on Instagram to go through last year's Better You series. Reading through it, you realize that there are content that are evergreen. I'm not trying to, um, say more than I should, but like I'm just letting you know that they're actually really contents that are just really reflecting in things that are happening presently and in times like this. So it's very important that we actually do talk more about the series that was released throughout every day last year. So like I said, I'll be jumping on three new series from last year's Better You series, and I'll be starting from day 44. Day 44. And it says, success is not defined by the accolades we receive or the material possessions we accumulate. True success lies in the lives we touch, the positive impacts we make, the legacy we leave behind. Strive to be a person of significance, not just successful. Hmm. Yeah, so basically, what this is trying to tell us is that a lot of people measure success by the amount of cars they have, the amount of houses they've built, the amount of money sitting in their bank accounts, and along the line, there's zero, really, zero, if there's any word like that, zero impact in other people's lives. And that's their definition of success. But success is well beyond all of those accolades of success, or all of those accolades of riches rather that we acquire. Success is more on the impact that we have on other people, the impact that and the legacy rather that we leave behind when we eventually leave this world, this earth. Say for instance, you would not have said someone like King Solomon in the Bible was successful if he did not have people that were talking about him. People would never have spoken about him if they were not impacted by his life. So that's exactly what true success is. I mean, you can stand now and say he was the richest man in the Bible. He's the richest. He's still the richest man ever known. Because we've not had anybody, really anybody that was not dealing in silver, was dealing in pure gold. Imagine when you take all the silver to the backyard and you're like, no, all you want to see in your palace is gold. I don't think anybody can still be as rich as that. But maybe me. But then that's how one way to measure impact, not just because of all the gold he had, but because of all the lives that kept on talking about him and talking about him and talking about him. Another very, 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 very germane example that does not have to do with money or riches is Jesus Christ. Yeah, because over 2,000 years now since his death, and every lips, almost every lips in the world, still talk about him, end the prayer with him, start the prayer with him, and that's really, 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 really the definition of success. When people keep singing your praises long after you have gone, not because you a philanthropist or someone that was always giving out and trying to meet people's needs. No, that's not really how to measure success. But the fact that there's measurable impact in someone's life, that this is how you left them, and this is how you met them, and this is how you left them. So if there is that measurable impact in the person's life, obviously you've been able to succeed in that person's life because you've been able to make enough impact in that person's life. So that's what we actually count as success. Like these evangelists would, always count their what's it called? Okay, the way evangelists know that they're actually improving or they're actually propagating the kingdom of heaven is by the amount of souls won. You understand? It's not by the amount of cars they have. It's not by the amount of countries that they've gone to. It's not by the amount of programs that they've had. But then it's about the amount of souls that have been won through the programs that they've had. I don't want to be too, spiritual, but then these are all the examples that have come to my head so far. But then same thing applies to any secular example that I would have been giving you. So success basically is not determined by the money in your bank account, the amount of cars you have. If you are not doing anything worthwhile with that money, you will die, you will go, you and your money, none of it will be remembered. I mean, we always hear about stories of people that were rich in a family and never helped anybody. There's no positive remembrance of them because they're like, all his money was to himself, blah blah blah, stuff like that. There's always negative remarks. That's not success. You might, even if he was the richest person, you don't measure success like that. It's the reason why you see rich men these days, philanthropists particularly, or I don't want to mention any name in particular, but like the richest men in Nigeria and Africa as a whole, you see them having source like foundation, rehabilitation centers, healthcare centers, free schools, grants, because they realized over time that the money that they have is not success. It's by the amount of people that are singing their praises when they are not there. That is fulfillment in life. That is success. That is the actual definition of success. Yeah. So quickly, I'm moving on to the next series from last year's The Better You series, and which is day 45. And it says, love is not just a feeling, it's a choice. It's a choice we make every day. Whether it's love for a partner, a friend, or family member, show your love through actions, kindness, and understanding. And don't forget to love yourself too. I think I'm going to start from the end of this quote or this series. Don't forget to love yourself. Many a times we show our love for everybody else but ourselves. We go out of our own way, we try to please people, try to show up for them, make sacrifices for them, do a lot of things that will show that, oh, you actually do really love this person. But when it comes to our own self, we don't show the kind of effort. We don't make the same efforts towards ourselves. We are always very, very, very too quick to move on from things that pertains to loving yourself. And that's like the most important thing. There were times when they have been asked a lot of questions sometimes, and they're like, okay, let me think of one right now. Maybe they ask questions like, who is the who do you love the most? Yeah, who do you love the most? And then a lot of people go by, I love this person, or name the top three people that you love. I love this person, love this person, love this person. And the person that's asking the question will then go and be like, oh, so you don't love yourself? That it's supposed to be like an eye opener. I'm not saying you should not love. Even Bible says this. Bible has measured what you need to know about love for you. It says, love your neighbor, love thy God, love your God thy God, and then love your neighbor as you love yourself. So it's not like love your neighbor first, then you love yourself, or love yourself the way you love your neighbor. No, it starts from you. You must love yourself first before you can even love someone else. So the measurement by which, or the extent to which you love yourself, is the same way you'll be able to show love to other people. That's why some people find it difficult to express themselves because they've never expressed themselves, expressed love to their own self. Sitting or standing in front of the mirror, you've not told yourself how beautiful you think you are. You've not told yourself, you've not done some sacrifices for yourself. You've not gone out of your way for yourself. You've not tried to please yourself. You're trying to do these things to other people. And it's the reason why we are making mistakes showing these actions because we've never really known how to feel about it. So we don't know how other people will take it. So people will take it differently, feel like all the effort you've gone through and somebody just be like, oh, thank you. Because what? They have been showing their own self love. They understand all of the sacrifices you are making. But because it's relatively strange to you, you've not really shown yourself this amount or quantity of love, and you're trying to show it to other people. So you will definitely misstep, make a mistake, or even do what will then make someone else happy. And you feel like, oh, I made a lot of sacrifices. But then make these sacrifices for yourself first. So I mean, then I can now eventually say, yeah, well, the extent through which you love yourself, you can then reciprocate to other people. Yeah, you don't give what you don't have. If you don't have love for yourself, you cannot show another person love. It is basic karma in life. What you don't have, you cannot give. Just like similar to knowledge. If you don't have knowledge, what are you standing in front of a podium with over 1,000 people looking up to you to say? You would not be able to say anything tangible. You will not be able to say anything reasonable because you never had it. But the moment you have something to say, you don't even need a pamphlet or a book in front of you or a textbook. I was always very, 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 very kind of jealous of lecturers that come to class without any materials at all, and they just teach off their head. I was always very jealous of them, especially those math teachers and physics teachers. They always feel like they're on top of the world. They'll just enter the class without textbook, and they're just a marker in their hand, and they're like, "So what did we do last week?" You tell them, and they're like, "Okay, so today we'll be learning this," and he goes and starts writing everything off his head, and you're like, and you ask questions, and he's able to answer you. That's obviously because they've built up themselves to that level where they don't need a guide anymore, because all the guide they need has been accumulated as knowledge in their head. So yeah, you can never ever ever give what you don't have. You can only pretend. And there's a level to where your pretense will get you in life. When you get to a point, your pretense will not start what's the word? We even start disgracing you outside. So you cannot give love if you don't have love for yourself. So I'll quickly jump on the last series from the last year's episode for today. And I'll be taking it from day 46. And it says, embrace change as a natural part of life instead of resisting it. See change as an opportunity for growth and adaptation. Remember, the only constant in life is change. So learn to ride the waves of change with grace and resilience. I love the way these words always resonate with me. They are evergreen, like I said earlier. So like it says now, I grew up always hearing this quote that the only constant thing in life is change. You cannot remain the same as you were even a year ago, even as close as a day ago, because change is constant. Now you might not be able to really see the change. You understand? You might not immediately see the changes, but change is constant. We are changing. We are evolving every day. You would agree with me that in the past there was nothing like television. There was nothing like all these electronics devices. There was nothing like AI, robotics, analytics, data analytics. There was no software that could automatically do some things for us, without us having to put in the hard labor. But now we have those things. Have people adapted? Yes, people have changed. As the world changes rather, so does the people inside the world also change. English is hard. So basically, change is relative. Relative in the sense that it is constant. It's a constant K. It is constant to life. You always go through a process of change. So you need to stop seeing it as a threat. A lot of people see change like a threat, see it as something that they should run from, especially when there is now maybe a factor or a person involved. People don't like to change for other people, especially if they know that you've in a way been involved in their change. They can resist it. They feel like I'm not trying. I'm not going to change for you. I'm not trying to be someone that I'm not. I lie you. They've been greatly impacted, and they are definitely going to change. But then they don't always love to admit that you are the reason for their change, or there's a circumstance that led to their change. Change is very, very, very relative. Everybody has gone through a phase in life where they used to be some one kind of person, and now they are a totally different kind of person. So yeah, change is very, very relative. So you need to stop seeing it as a threat. You need to stop seeing it as something that you don't want to go through, or you need to stop seeing it as something that happened because of an event. Even though it happened because of an event, embrace it. Embrace it in the sense that work with it. See the positive aspects of change. Because even in every change, there is a lesson to be learned in every change. Say for instance, you were introverted before, now you're extroverted. There's a very big lesson to learn there. Means your introvert nature couldn't have gotten you some things that your extrovert nature would definitely get you, right? So don't always see it as I long for days when I was still an introvert, or I long for days for the vice versa. I long for days when I was still an extrovert. I would have shown you people. That's especially people that undergo anger management. Anger management is one very, very big change that people don't even applaud as they should, because anger management is very, very important. The moment you know how to manage your emotions and your anger, it is a very big leap in change. So a lot of people don't want to always admit that okay, they've gone through a level of change. So they would rather sit on the fact that if I was still in this nature, if I was still this way, I would have treated your fuck up, I would have done this, but you're lucky that I'm calm now. So it's something to be embraced, not something to be resisted or looked back upon and with regrets and all of that. So with that, we've come to the end of the episode, Better You series for Better You podcast for today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. I'll see you next time. My name is Daniel Banjo, and this is the Better You podcast. Bye and cheers.